Fine Tar.
Hey, so we Kennedy, so we
The International Diamond Center is proud to present On Deck with Jeff Cardozo and Steve Russell. For the next 60 minutes, we are peering into the box from 60 feet 6 inches.
Are you going to be impressed with a 500-foot home run? Yeah.
Power alley to power alley, we have you covered. Now, let's and join our Gators baseball radio broadcast battery. Here are Jeff and Steve.
Hello, once again. We welcome you to another edition of the On Deck Show, the On Deck Podcast. That's Jeff Cardozo. I'm Steve Russell. Zach Rothrock's our producer today. We thank you for tuning in as we talk some Gator baseball, little Gator softballs, and Major League Baseball too. But primarily, we're going to talk Gator baseball. We had a long weekend, but it was a good weekend after getting back on the bus at 3 a.m. after rain delays at South Carolina. The good news is the Gators got 3.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Certainly there's been a lot of struggles travel-wise over the years, and that's the sport of baseball, playing outside. But when it's all said and done, when you win 3 like that, it's well worth it. So kudos to Sully, and he picked up his 750th win over the weekend as well. So not only that, but just the transformation, and it's certainly something that we'll talk about. But it's pretty special to see going from 1-11 in SEC play, and everybody's freaking out. It's the end of the world, and now all of a sudden you're a couple of maybe wins or series wins away from potentially hosting a regional. Kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. Don't forget, we're broadcasting today from Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. You can watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen later on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, any of the nearly 40 platforms you can access your favorite podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and we will take your questions as well. So if you have those, get them to us, and we will answer them. We also always have questions, so we'll start with questions of the week. We're going to go do this in part 1 and part 2 because we had a lot of them. Brought to you by Meldon Law. Meldon Law with 50 years of experience, the only injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. If you have questions, you can send them to questions@gatorshows.com. All right, Dozo, here we go. Sam in Gainesville, Gators swept despite obstacles like a rain delay and time changes. They exploded for the most runs in a while. Are we on the cusp of making the tournament now?
Yeah, certainly so. I think, remember when we started this show just a few weeks ago, it was counting down to that number, trying to get 12, and Gators are at 11 now in SEC play from a win standpoint. So you got to take care of business, and I think after what happened now with Arkansas and Texas this past weekend, it's not out of the question to say, okay, Florida should win 1. I mean, they can maybe even go to Texas and win 2 if they're struggling right now. And then, of course, you get a weekend at home against Alabama to finish it off. So imagine winning 2 at Texas, who's still number 1 in the country, and then winning a couple against Bama. You're now over 500 in the league, really good RPI, really good strength of schedule. They could be hosting. So, yeah, I still think 1 or 2 wins certainly puts them in, and we're not even sitting here worrying about it.
Yeah, I'd be more comfortable with 2, but 12 with their RPI and such could certainly get them in. Andy in Gainesville, Gators scored a season-high 22 in SEC play on Sunday. Are the Gator boys hot, or is South Carolina that bad?
Mixture of both, yes. I think, and certainly we saw 6 walks in the 9th inning and 3 with bases loaded, and it was just a walk fest sort of you never feel sorry for the opponent struggling, but it's just one of those where, like, man, I think we felt sorry for ourselves because we knew we had a 6-hour bus ride home and the game was taking forever. But it's good to see. I mean, because nobody sees all that. They just see the score. And, I think there was a lot of fun memes out there saying, hey, Florida beat South Carolina in football today and, things like that because it turned into a football score. So it gives you confidence, and I think it then gave them confidence for that next game. And obviously the pitching was really good and the offense continued to roll, and everybody is really gelling right now, and it's good that Florida plays another game tonight. I think you want to keep that momentum going and then hopefully carry it into a huge weekend this weekend.
I will say, though, South Carolina's not good. And we were talking about this during the breaks. When Carolina has its opening, they really still go back in the past with those Ray Tanner great teams that they had. Well, that was 15 years ago. You can't live on that. But this is how fast it happens. They were a regional team last year, and Florida beat them in a super a couple of years ago. Yeah. So it isn't like they were terrible, but the bottom has just fallen out, and that's what can happen. It can happen quickly if things don't go right.
Yeah, and I think too, Steve, is look at what they had at the bottom part of the order: freshman.
Yeah,
and it's not sustainable anymore in college baseball. Even putting a lineup together, at least have one of the freshmen more at the top, so it's not almost. I mean, it's basically 3 innings where you're getting 3 outs if those guys are hitting. So you don't have much of a chance to win. So, one, you have to get older nowadays. It's not like it was in the past. And 2, you at least got to shuffle things around. And that's where maybe Paul Maneri is really, I don't know, just not. He hasn't forgotten how to coach baseball, but it's a different game now from when he was last in it.
No question. Lauren in Gainesville, how about Gators softball winning the series against number 1 Oklahoma? Does this guarantee us a regional and super regional hosting opportunity?
I still don't think maybe super regional of where they are. I mean, they're the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. So that means there's only 2 other teams technically out there that are, that'll be a top 8 national seed. But beating Oklahoma certainly helped. It was awesome to see. Crowds were great, senior day, all that kind of stuff. So really proud of Tim Walton, the effort and everything else that they were able to put out there, especially after losing that first game. And you thought you had a chance to win. It goes extras and all that stuff, and you're like, oh, here we go again. But it's now the first time that Florida's ever beaten Oklahoma in a series. So pretty cool to see.
Very cool to see. And I think they're going to host a regional, but probably not a super. But stranger things have happened. We'll see. Mike in Gainesville, Hayden Yosty, named the sole recipient of the SEC Player of the Week, went 5 for 10, playing unbelievable since March. What transformed him?
I think he's just growing up. This is a young guy that didn't have a ton of playing experience and got off to a really hot start, but then it's like the grind. Gosh, I'm playing every single day. I'm probably getting a little tired. I've got to go through all these things, and now he's sort of rejuvenated. And, you give him a lot of credit. He works really, really hard. You watch him out there taking fly balls and he's taking it away from the pitchers as they're trying to shag balls and do different things, but that's a good thing. I mean, he's working, and it's evident. He's now robbed 2 homers now over the last couple of games, and just has a great feel for the game. And when he hits, it obviously can go pretty well. Now he's a big-time fastball hitter, but now he's starting to show because he's seen the off-speed pitches and breaking balls and change-ups to make adjustments, go the other way a little bit, when primarily he was just a pull guy. But he definitely had some huge at-bats in that weekend.
And he's a base stealer, too. When he gets on there, he is definitely a threat to run, and he's done a good job of that. Tommy in Hawthorne, every Gator player that started at least 2 games against the Gamecocks, scored at least 3 runs, had at least 2 hits. Are we getting hot at the right time? I think we discussed that. Joey in Gainesville, Florida's now won 10 of their last 12 SEC games. Would it be safe to say they can beat Texas twice?
Yeah, I think so.
They can.
Yeah, you have to get good pitching, and Texas doesn't hit all that well. They really pitch, so Florida swinging the bats well is a good thing. If you can continue that, then I think you can certainly go in there and win a couple of games. If Peterson pitches like he did a couple of weeks ago, you now have Pierce Capola back in the mix, so he can hopefully give you a couple of innings on Sunday. The interesting part is going to see what the rotation is going to look like. You would assume because of the delays and moving guys around that King would have to go Friday this week and then Peterson Saturday, Capola on Sunday. But maybe that even helps more to get those guys out there in a different spot.
Yeah, if you can take game 1 with King and you're best guy, you have a chance to win the series then. Vicky in Gainesville, Peterson now tied for second in the SEC with 8 wins. Gators seem to go as he goes. Can he lead us to Omaha?
He's capable. I mean, there's a reason why somebody said publication-wise that he could be the first pitcher taken in next year's draft. I mean, that's the stuff that he has, but it's just now being consistent and doing it week in and week out and making sure that he can control his emotions. Now, he was a little off this past weekend. The breaking ball wasn't as good. The command wasn't as good, but, again, you had warmed up thinking you're pitching Friday, and then you've got to now do it 2 days later. So I'm sure that affected a little bit, and the routine is all different. So, He's capable. I mean, you look at all the arms that we've now seen. I mean, Liam Doyle at Texas. We haven't seen the Oklahoma guy. We haven't seen the LSU Friday night guys. Those guys are legit, but I'd put Peterson right up there with the rest of them when it's all said and done.
Yeah, when he's right, he certainly is capable of that. Adrian in Ocala, with Arkansas sweeping number 1 Texas, does that help us or hurt us this weekend when we visit Austin for the series?
Yeah, you don't know. Every week's different. Again, if they can pitch, then they'll be really good, and they're at home, and home and away is a drastic difference, and especially those guys going to Arkansas. So I think that's where you might see it. But Florida's not going to be scared by any means. They'll go in there, they'll compete, and they'll try to do what they can, and hopefully Texas doesn't, I guess, do everything it's supposed to do.
You know, sometimes I'm a big believer of this, Jeff, that timing is part of it. Mm-hmm. Look, Arkansas had not played particularly well by their standards the last 3 or 4 weeks after losing here, right? They go home, and Texas was sort of due for a bad weekend. You know, they really hadn't had one. So Arkansas got them at home. Does it mean Texas all of a sudden falls off the map? No. But I'm going to run down some numbers that you just kind of talked about, where when you look at Texas, they pitch it, but don't necessarily hit it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give you some numbers in the SEC in a minute. Mitch and St. Augustine, both Miami and FSU have excelled, won the majority of their games the last 4 weeks. With us beating both, does that help our RPI and help us possibly host a regional?
Yeah, I think it should, certainly. The weird part is when you look at the rankings, Florida finally got back in the rankings with Baseball America, still not ranked in the top 25 in the D1 poll, which is what everybody uses. But it's weird because you're now all of a sudden just 1 or 2 wins from a team that's top 10 in the country when you look at it. So I'm a little confused as how they do that, but I think everybody just looks at the 1-11 start and thinks, well, Florida's maybe not that good. But I think you have to now put in consideration what they've done over these last 3 or 4 weeks. And you'll certainly see that when it's all said and done. And that's what's good about the committee. They will look at the entire resume and say, okay, it doesn't matter if it was 1-11. If you finish 16-14 or something like that, right, with this RPI, this strength of schedule, then you're going to be right up there with the best of them.
Let's do our Coach of the Week, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, putting some star power to work in your financial life for 90 years. Campus USA Credit Union. Coach of the Week.
I think, getting 750 now, you've got to give it to Kevin O'Sullivan.
It's mine too.
Yeah, pretty special. I think, we both agree on that. And, it's amazing to think about, because I've been a part of this program for a while and Steve's been around it even longer, but just from me being here, you've had certainly pockets of success. Lopes was really good. You go to Omaha in 96, 98, so 2 of 3 years, but then we don't go in 99. You fall just short in 2000. You don't go in 2001, but injuries and different things. So you hire Pat McMahon, and he does a pretty good job, gets him to the finals, the final series in Omaha in 2005, but then no regional. So it was that consistency that now Kevin O'Sullivan has brought. And Florida's never not made the postseason under Sully, something that has never happened here. And I don't think even Sully thought he would be here for 18 years, when looking back, because nobody had ever done it that long. So you give him a lot of credit for the longevity. Certainly there's been a lot of ups and downs, but he's the greatest coach in Florida history and has had a ton of success, of course, winning the national title. So the coaching job that he and the rest of that staff have done now these past 3 or 4 weeks have been pretty phenomenal.
Sometimes you take a great coach for granted when he's in your own backyard. You just expect Kevin O'Sullivan to win. You expect him to go to Omaha. You expect them. Well, it isn't easy. It's not just clockwork. There's injuries. There's transfers. We didn't get this guy. There's a luck involved in it. And through all of this, last year too, Florida didn't panic, and I think that starts from the top. It starts with Sully. They didn't panic. They kept it together. They got hurt by injuries this year. They made some moves, moving Clemente to their closer role, for example, and all of a sudden they're playing a lot better baseball, and that's because of Kevin O'Sullivan and his coaches and the players adapting to that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More coming up here on the On Deck Show. Stay with us.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
For over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
Don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best price. International Diamond Center, located in Celebration Point, for quality, selection, and value. International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators. Welcome back to the On Deck Show. All right, Jeff, let's do the best and worst of the week, brought to you by Roos Ogra, State Farm Insurance. State Farm agent Roos Ogra is your go-to agent in Gainesville and North Central Florida for the service you deserve at the price you want.
It's really a best and a worst combined for me. It's the best was seeing nobody in the stands at South Carolina, and it shows the worst for them of where that program has come. This is a storied program like you talked about, and Florida has gone there the last 2 times they've gotten swept in each of those 2. Florida has not played well, and to see the crowd on Friday night, even though weather was coming, there wasn't a lot of people, and then by the time it's 1 a.m. when we're finishing, there was only a couple hundred people in the stands. But even on a clear day on Sunday, just a couple of thousand people. And, I know when they announce the attendance, they count the season tickets and all that, so it looked like 7,000 people, but there was less than 2,000. And it was really nice to see, because I know a lot of Gator fans didn't make that trip because of how jerkish those fans are and how they've always been treated there. And it was a pleasant sight. No, because I even had that in my mind going like, gosh, I don't like coming here. The fans are really rude, and they're sort of entitled, and they think their stuff doesn't stink. And guess what? They stunk. So that was a nice thing for sure. So that was the best.
It's funny, when we were doing the broadcast, especially the last day when there was no one there, when Florida did something, you could hear the Gator fans. Mm-hmm. And now they didn't have much to cheer about, but it was interesting that you could hear the Gator fans, and because South Carolina had nobody there, and they played badly, just a non-factor. Yeah. Just a non-factor there. Team of the Week brought to you by Comfort Temp Heating and Air, your #1 local HVAC company. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort our business, peace of mind, our promise.
Yeah, I'm going to go with West Virginia. They continue to play really good baseball, and that could be as you look throughout the rankings and the regional hosts and all these other things. I think West Virginia certainly should get a host site, and I'd love for Florida to go there. It'd be somewhere different, and I don't think they're a complete powerhouse. They never have been, but they're playing really good baseball. There's another. You can look at North Carolina. That could be a potential spot. Selfishly, I'd love it to be Oregon. Get to go out there and hang out in Oregon for a few days. Never been there, but I think that's what you start to look at now if you're a Gator fan, and I think a lot of people would certainly want to stay home too, but I don't know if you want to just go over to Tallahassee. I mean, you've seen them enough. So somewhere different for a regional site, maybe even Georgia Tech. But give credit to West Virginia. They've held strong all year long. Texas Tech has always been a powerhouse in baseball. They beat them 2 out of 3 this weekend. Really should have won all 3 games. So there's something brewing up there in the middle of West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, never been to Morgantown, so that would be different, certainly. And I hear you about going to Oregon, but that's a long trip. And look, most of the time the committee tries to put you, somewhere close to where you are. And, you wonder about a team like Coastal Carolina or Southern Mississippi if they were to get in. Troy, I don't know if they would host, but we will see. But certainly the Gators have a shot. Now, if things – we talked about this. If things go right, Jeff, Florida has to finish strong, but they could still host.
Certainly. And we saw it a couple of years ago. Nobody thought when Oklahoma came in here as that 2 seed that Florida would be a host site. And obviously they gave the toughest 2 seed to Florida because of that. And Oklahoma ends up going to the finals in the College World Series that year. But Florida almost beat them and really should have beat them. So you never know. I think when it's all said and done, it also matters on the bid and how much money you're putting up and what you can do, and certainly what the stadium has. And we know the Conjuring Ballpark is a special place for a lot of people to come through. So it could happen.
Never forget that Oklahoma, when you could see them just wilting in the humidity. And when the rain came, they got rejuvenated.
Yeah. Changed it all.
We'll take a break, come back, much more to come with the On Deck Show. Stay with us.
At Comfort Temp Heating and Air, we're proud to celebrate 40 years as your #1 local HVAC company. We offer energy-efficient solutions featuring quality products from Lennox. Whether it's new installation, system repairs, or routine maintenance, we promise to never sell you anything you don't need. Our professional and experienced technicians provide reliable service you can trust and will keep you informed throughout the entire process. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans. Let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
Hey fans, don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best price. It's International Diamond Center, located in Celebration Point. For quality, selection, and value, International Diamond Center. It's the official jeweler of the Florida Gators.
All right, let's get going here with our relief pitcher of the week, brought to you by QC Kinetics. If you've got joint pain that won't go away, check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. Jeff, you remember very start of doing this year, I talked about a guy from Yale.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm still on this guy from Yale. I get it. It's the Ivy League. But he's thrown 60 innings, and his ERA is still less than 1.
Well,
I don't care if you're playing Yale or wherever. That's good. His ERA is .89 in 60 innings. So that dude, relief pitcher of the week.
Yeah, good stuff there. And if you remember to last year, if you're a Gator fan, when it was the fall game and it was before Florida, Georgia, the Gators were running Christian Rodriguez out there as a freshman thinking that he could be the closer. And that was when Neely was going to start. And then, of course, after that outing in that fall game, he ends up having Tommy John surgery, misses. But he's now finally getting healthy, and he threw 2 2/3 scoreless at the end of the South Carolina series. And he's a guy over the last now 6 or 7 appearances, he's throwing up zeros, and he's starting to get back the form that I think you saw from what the ability was there as a freshman. I mean, this is a guy that won a couple of state championships. He was the Gatorade National Pitcher of the Year, and everybody considered him to be the best of the best. If he was 6'4", he would have been a first-round draft pick. But he's short. He's like 5'10", and only throws 92, 93. But he's really starting to pitch again. And if Kevin O'Sullivan had confidence and be a closer last year, he certainly has the stuff to do that. So I think he'll be now a factor when it's all said and done, and you'll start to see him throwing more and more. Remember, he was kind of a second thought at the beginning of the year, running out there and blowout games, different things like that. But now when the game's on the line or it's a big situation, high leverage, Christian Rodriguez is going in there, and it's been a good sight to see it. So if you get an arm like that excelling, then that's certainly a lot for that bullpen.
That goes back to some of our previous things we talked about. Coaching, realizing sometimes you have to move people around, and some, especially pitchers, get it sometimes a little later than beginning of the year. You struggle, all of a sudden you find it, and then the last third of the year you're coming out, which is what Rodriguez is doing now. Quality Game of the Week brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Quality Plumbers, Gainesville's trusted for over 30 years. Quality Plumbing, their name says it all.
Well, when we played Arkansas a couple of weeks ago, you looked at that schedule and you saw Texas, and then you saw LSU, and you're like, wow, Arkansas's got a tough way to finish things up. So now, after doing what they did to Texas, it's Arkansas and LSU. And if you look at the standings, Arkansas all of a sudden just 2 game backs of Texas. In the league, it's Texas 19-5, Arkansas is 17-7, but then LSU 15-9. But if Arkansas can go and beat LSU now a couple of times, the Gators take care of business against Texas, then all of a sudden Arkansas's got a chance to win the league again. So that's a really big series for them. When it was a 5-game lead with 9 to go, everybody thought Texas was going to run away with it and couldn't imagine them getting swept. So that's a series I'm certainly keeping my eye on. And then the Battle of Tennessee as well. I think for us it's Florida State or Florida Georgia. You have those rivalries. And you don't think Vandy ever has rivalries, but when they play in baseball, those two schools hate each other.
Yeah, they do.
And we saw Vitello get thrown out last week. You might see him rant and rave and get thrown out again this week. But no love lost there, and both of those are both even in the same record conference-wise, both at 14-10. So somebody's going to overtake somebody else by winning that series, and should be some fun ones with only 2 weeks to go.
I'm just going to do, I'm not sure it's the quality game of the week, but just because we don't talk about midweek games a lot. USF, the final midweek game of the year tonight. They're only 2-7 in their last 9 games. And, you look at their numbers, their team ERAs, 5.5. They got a couple of guys that can hit. One guy's got 14 homers. But, this is a team that is sort of, and they've not played well of late, so Florida should take care of business here.
Yeah, you would hope so. And, again, that's an opportunity for some of those younger guys to come out and throw and do some different things. We'll see what happens, but of course you're saving hopefully a bunch of guys for this weekend against Texas, and that was good about not having a midweek game last week.
Right.
You didn't have to throw Clemente or McNeely in there, and you could then use them a couple of times on the weekend. It was exactly what we saw.
Ball Player of the Week brought to you by Florida Victorious. Game-changing plays, life-changing impact. Florida Victorious, proud partner of the Florida Gators on and off the field. Ball Player of the Week.
This guy's been the ball player for not only a week, but an entire month. How about former Gator Pete Alonso, National League Player of the Month? So a lot of credit goes to Pete, and he sort of bet on himself. And when not a lot of people were giving him money and nobody wanted to give him that big, longer contract, he said, okay, I'm going to just sign another smaller contract and say, okay, I'm going to be able to do some damage. He's really cut down on the strikeouts. He's striking out at only about 15%. I think he's third or fourth in all of Major League Baseball at driving in runs. The amount of homers he has, the batting average is way better than he's ever had in his entire career. So it's been fun to see the Polar Bear do some damage. And you've got Soto on that team now who got the big money, and Pete's been way better than Juan Soto has been. And I'm sure him in the lineup has helped Pete a little bit, but it's fun. Good for Pete. He certainly thought he deserved the money, but nobody's paying mid kind of 20s, late 20s right-handed hitting first baseman, and he had to show that he was capable of being better than he was the last couple of years, and this year he's definitely doing that. Speaking
of the Mets, they've recommended Tommy John for Danny Young.
Yeah.
And the Mets have lost their top two lefties. Oh, well. Sometimes you look around when you see the players that we see in the league, and then you see them go to the next level. But whether you like Tennessee or you don't, when you talk about Liam Doyle, 15 strikeouts per game, and hitters hit 147 against him. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's had a good year.
That's ridiculous. In this league.
And the Gators tried to get him. Tennessee just outpaid it.
Yeah,
so.
That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother day. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Don't forget, we got more questions we're going to answer that you've given us, so make sure and stick around for more of the On Deck Show.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
At Comfort Temp Heating and Air, we're proud to celebrate 40 years as your #1 local HVAC company. We offer energy-efficient solutions featuring quality products from Lennox. Whether it's new installation, system repairs, or routine maintenance, we promise to never sell you anything you don't need. Our professional and experienced technicians provide reliable service you can trust and will keep you informed throughout the entire process. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
All right, all stretched out. It's time for our 7th inning stretch, courtesy of Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover 11 delicious Cuban sandwiches at Miapa Latin Cafe. With 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, you are never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami.
And remember, if you have Facebook or YouTube comments, we will take those and take your questions. And those are sponsored by Titan MRI. No insurance, no problem. Titan MRI has same-day scheduling available. Call them up, start feeling better today. TitanMRI.com is where you can go for more info. All right, softball review brought to you by Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Well, the Gators are going to be playing tomorrow, and they'll play either, I believe, Mississippi or Missouri is, I think, who they play. I don't think they played Missouri in the regular year. Took 2 out of 3, I know, against Ole Miss, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Missouri hasn't been very good in softball or baseball. So, but hey, you do what you did to Oklahoma. It's a pretty special weekend for nobody does that to Oklahoma. So really nice to see, and now you hopefully keep that momentum and play for a couple of games and get ready to see where your fate lies. You should be at home for that first round at least, and then we'll see what happens in the Super Regional. Remember, a couple of years ago they weren't supposed to host the Supers, but other team lost. They ended up getting to host the Supers, so it could still work out that way. But give them a lot of credit. I mean, look at what Falby's doing in center field. We talk about Yost in center. I mean, she's robbing homers left and right, considered probably the best center fielder now in all of the country.
And
at least
pretty good, too.
Yeah. Shoemaker's still leading the SEC and runs driven in. Mia Williams hit a few more homers. It's always fun when you see that, because you see Jason Williams in the stands and he's goofing off, having a good time. And give credit to the marketing department too. Everybody responsible for that. They put out shirts and they kind of made different sections of orange and blue. It looked really good as we were on the road having to watch on TV, but they did a really nice job of making that a tremendous environment. So really fun for them. And, I think certainly emotional too with senior day. You saw some of those videos. It's tough knowing that your season's winding down, your career's winding down potentially, but they'll go hard for the rest of the way. Now they got some momentum on their side.
It seems Kendra Falvey's been here like 100 years. Mm-hmm. She's one of those kids that just, because she played early, obviously. Sure. And it is emotional. And there's no doubt about it. And Jeff, I really think we all know how capable Florida is in softball. They are capable of beating anybody, anytime, anywhere. So maybe there's a little bit less pressure on them. They're going to be home here. They're good, and they're still relevant nationally, but it isn't like it's Oklahoma that's being talked about all the time. Maybe this helps them in the long run.
Yeah, not considered elite. And remember, at the beginning of the year, there was a couple of people picked them as the number 1 team in the country. So They've fallen off from that a little bit, but also injuries and making adjustments. You've got to figure out some stuff on the left side of that infield, and you obviously lost a superstar last year at shortstop, so you had to kind of do what baseball's doing, put new people in there, try them out, and have them figure things out. And you have to do that a lot of times auditioning live and going through games. So I think they've righted the ship, and it should be a fun final few weeks.
All right, let's do top 4 teams brought to you by Coke Zero. The new and improved recipe tastes like real Coca-Cola with 0 sugar and 0 calories.
Yeah, Texas and Arkansas, to me, still right there at the top. Even though Texas lost all 3, they're still really, really good. So that's going to be a fun weekend this weekend. But then also, you hate to say it, but Florida State is playing really, really well right now. They just they took 2 out of 3 from Clemson, who a lot of people, me just a couple of weeks ago was talking about how good Clemson was. So give credit to the Seminoles for that. And then, you've got North Carolina, you've got Oregon, you've got a couple of other teams right there tinkering on potentially being one of those top 4 seeds or teams overall. And I mentioned Oregon last week with Mark Wazakowski, the former Gator, and he got them to a super regional last year and just right on the cusp of finally getting to Omaha for that team. It's been Oregon State for many, many years. So Waz is doing some really good things, and you got to give them credit. He's built it really well out there. So I guess if I had to hold it to a 4th team, I would put Oregon as that team.
All right. Now we're going to continue with our questions of the week, brought to you by Meldon Law. Again, you can send questions to us at questions@gatorshows.com. Nadia in Gainesville. Sully won his 750th game. Gator fans wanted him fired early in the season, myself included. Has he done magic with what he was dealt with the injuries?
I mean, he's always been a really good coach. I wouldn't say it's magic. It's just coaching. It's taking the guys that you have recruited that are a part of this team that you're stuck with because you can't go to free agency or make a trade or do anything like that, and coaching them up and understanding why they were good, why they were bad, where they screwed up, what they needed to change, and working with them on that. And, this staff does a really good job at making sure that's happened. We've seen over the years a lot of guys grow up throughout the entire season and get better when it's all said and done. We saw it last year a ton by some of those younger guys, and when it was all said and done, they were really good at the end of the year, at least serviceable to go out and try to win games. So give them credit.
This is funny. Billy in Newberry, the 14-minute South Carolina appeal call in the delayed Friday morning game occurred in the 8th inning at 1 a.m. You discussed it on air. Could the Birmingham official have been asleep and then woke up to make the call?
Yeah. I mean, to me, I thought he was asleep. The way they was taking it should have been a pretty easy call.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's what happens. That's what happens when you got to go back to Birmingham for video review and everything that goes with it. It was just it was a long, crazy weekend, and I still think that there was something shady that was going on with South Carolina, to be honest with you, the way that, we could sit there and look at our phones and weather app and see it was about to rain at 7 o'clock, and, they have a meteorologist and a team official saying, oh, no, it's not going to rain till 8:45, 9 o'clock. We can start this game. And then Sully even went back and said, are you sure about this? But he has no say, so they end up starting the game, and that's why that staff was so upset, why Liam Peterson was so upset, and why I think you saw some of the issues. But maybe it motivated them even a little more. Certainly you wanted to win, but you're like, all right, you're going to do this to us. Well, we're going to step on your throat now, and we're going to just keep our foot on there. And that's exactly what they did, keep piling up runs.
I think it did motivate them,
yeah.
no doubt. Lily in Gainesville, Falby's catch during the big senior night. The win against Oklahoma was unreal. Did it again Saturday and Sunday. Is she the best defensive player in college softball?
Maybe. I don't know enough about some of the other players out there, but I certainly know what she's done and what you see and how the posts are. The one picture of the first one where her foot's up there and you got the fan right behind it and just like the reaction, like weird on the fan's face. But I just the poise that she has and going out and getting it, it's really cool. Like if I'm Falby someday, that I'm blowing up that picture. That's going above the mantle.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sweet shot.
It is. Terry in Gainesville, Clemente seems to handle closing now better than early in the year. Is he pitching his best the last month or so? Sure.
Yeah, of course. And, again, I think he wanted to be a starter. He came back from the Cape after starting up there thinking, hey, I can handle this role. But, now he was good for a few innings, but then he always got to that point in the 4th or the 5th where he got tired, and then all of a sudden you look at what was supposed to be a really good line, and it's now there's 5 runs in 5 innings. So it's just kind of mediocre or average. But now you're not getting him that far. So for 2 or 3 innings, he's really darn good. And I think it's a perfect role for him right now.
Justin in Gainesville, in the postgame interview, Sully credited Evans and Yost as the catalyst to get overlooked and mentioned the Gators wouldn't be where they are today without them. How true is this statement?
Sorry, say that again. I missed it.
He said, this is Justin in Gainesville. Yeah. He said in the postgame interview that you did with Sully, credited Evans and Yost as the catalyst to get overlooked, mentioned the Gators wouldn't be where they are without them. How true is this statement?
Well, I mean, Ty hadn't done anything until really the last 4 games. So, Florida's where it is because of everybody else. But I think now having him, especially with Shelton out of the lineup, you needed a bat to replace that. And Ty's been that guy to be able to do that. So give him a lot of credit, and hopefully he can continue to stay hot. We've seen the streaky Ty Evans now here for 4 years.
Yes.
Up and down, doing different things. And And Yost went through a little bit of a slump as well. So to all of a sudden overcome that and be the SEC Player of the Week, it's good. And the more guys you have hot at the right time, and that's what this team has had at the beginning of the year. And we knew that there would be depth, and they could handle a few of the injuries. They could move some guys around, and you had probably 14 guys at the beginning of the year from a position player standpoint that would be capable of playing. Now, some guys aren't as good as the ones that have gotten hurt, but they're at the University of Florida for a reason. That means they're capable of doing some good stuff.
I got asked this in the grocery store yesterday. He said, have you seen anybody as streaky as Ty Evans? We've seen people get hot, right? But he is either seemingly ice cold or just scorching hot. I don't recall a guy that's kind of been like that where he can carry you, for a while and then just get cold. I can't remember anybody else like that. Can you?
No, not for that. I guess consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
So that's where it's been weird. I mean, Ty had 13 homers last year, big part of the run certainly down the stretch, and then no homers, and then all of a sudden he's got 3 and 4 games. So he hadn't driven in a run in 45 days, and now he has the 7 or 8 that he had this weekend. So he is definitely streaky.
We're broadcasting from Coach's podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. You can watch us live on YouTube and Facebook. Later, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podcast, Spotify, and the nearly 40 platforms that you can find your favorite podcast. Like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss an episode. And we appreciate you tuning in. And you can give us questions on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back. A closer look at the matchup with Texas coming up. Stay with us here on our On Deck show.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Success doesn't happen by chance. It takes skill, dedication, and a winning team behind you. For over 40 years, Quality Plumbing has been the trusted name across North Central Florida, delivering reliable service, expert craftsmanship, and results you can count on. From the locker room to the living room, the track to your tap, commitment to quality is how success is achieved. Teamwork, experience, community, that's the winning formula. Quality Plumbing. Our name says it all.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans. Let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators. Visit us online at shopidc.com to see our selection of premier diamonds you can't get anywhere else. International Diamond Center, your family-owned diamond connection located at Celebration Point. Jeff, I skipped 2 questions here. I didn't see them, so I'm going to get to them. People do it. I want to get their questions in. Anthony in Gainesville. Coppola came back from a 64-day absence to start the series finale, having last started against Miami. How critical is this move? How can he help us finish strong?
Yeah, just more innings. Again, when you're depleted in the bullpen and you don't have really many lefty options you can trust, I think just eating up a couple of innings is absolutely huge. And if he can do that and be the sort of opener on Sunday and get you through a couple of innings, that certainly helps. So the velocity was good. He was 92 to 94.
Yep.
He looked fresh. He's just got to get more comfortable on the mound. But he's got a lot of swing and miss in that left arm, so it was really good to see him back.
This is a sore spot with me, Will. He's in Newberry. He says 6.5-hour rain delay game that ends at 1:30 in the morning. Why not move the scheduled Saturday game to 1 o'clock, knowing rain's coming? Weather prediction for SEC games has been horrible all year. Should the SEC commissioner invest in a full-time weather person?
I don't know about that. I think weather's certainly different. It's probably the easiest job in the world because you can always be wrong and be fine.
Come back the next day.
Not get in trouble. But was there shadiness going on? In my mind, yes. I think there was something awkward there. They did move the game up on Saturday to try to get that in, and then there was a pop-up storm that came about an hour later, so I don't think they thought they could get that game in on Saturday. But then the waiting around is, I think, what the problem was. You knew once that storm hit, there was a lot more coming at 4, so no need to make that team, especially Florida, stuck in just a room. And South Carolina gets couches and their lounge and all that other stuff, and Florida's getting stiff and having to go through some of that. So I think that's where, it even contributed probably more. I think once we saw that rain and Aiden King was removed from the game, there was no way Florida was playing again that day, but we sat there for 2 more hours after that.
This is a sore spot with me, not because we have to sit and wait, but I guess what the league has got to do for me is decide what's best for the kids. What's best here? Do you take into account the fan base? Yes, you do. But Jeff and I have done an SEC tournament game at ridiculous hours, right? So it isn't like that's not done. Is it ideal? No. So if you have to play at 10 o'clock in the morning, play at 10 o'clock in the morning. This way you're not home at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I get it, you're not going to have as many fans there, but if you either have to decide we have to do something to get these games played and get them in regardless of the fan base, or if you're going to take the fan base into consideration, then you have to do it a different way. I just don't like the way this is done. Maybe there's a better way, I don't know, but I don't think anybody was happy with what happened this weekend in terms of the weather. All right. Let's end with Florida and Texas. Did a little research, Jeff, and you made this point earlier. In the SEC, Texas is 11th in batting average, 13th in on-base percentage, 10th in hits, 14th in strikeouts, 10th in walks, and 10th in hits. So what's that tell you?
A very good hitting team.
The other side, pitching, number 1 ERA, number 2 opposing batting average, number 2 hits allowed, number 3 runs given up, and then number 1 in saves. So those numbers, and that's in the SEC. So those numbers to me stand out.
Yeah, that's why it's really important. If Florida can get off to a couple of early leads there, they don't necessarily have the firepower to try to come back, and then you get to have Clemente and somebody in the right roles where you want to try to win. So to me, that's the key to everything. If Florida can get off to a good start and score a couple of runs early, take the crowd out of it, then they've got a chance to be successful this weekend. But you also look at it, Texas has only lost 3 games at home all year. So now all of a sudden you're saying, Florida can go in there and win 2 or 3. I mean, that's a little far-fetched, but you certainly have the opportunity to win that series and go in there and try to steal a couple. So we'll see.
And you think, is this – because, look, Arkansas kind of went into a little swoon before they recovered, right? Most teams during the year have a little lull. Could this be Texas's lull, even if they're home? Could be. Yep. We will see. All right, that's going to do it for our On Deck show for today. We are back again next Monday to talk Florida, Texas, and get you set for the final SEC regular season series of the year. It always goes by so fast, partner, when Alabama comes to town. Thanks to Zach Rothrock for producing. We thank you for tuning in and watching. So long, everybody.
We thank you for listening to On Deck with Jeff Cardozo and Steve Russell, presented by the International Diamond Center. The show and the On Deck Show archive is available for you via podcast.